Good afternoon. It's Friday Night Live with Ann. Here I come from my kitchen again. So you guys, it's a beautiful rainy night. I mean, the rain is coming down absolutely gorgeous. So I thought I would maybe take a few minutes longer than normal and go live showing you a fun recipe that you can do without heating up your whole house. So the next evening when it really gets hot, why don't you try this instead? So let me show you what we're gonna make. Get it up here close so you guys can see the picture, hopefully without the glare. It's called Glazed Teriyaki Meatballs and Noodles. And it has a couple shortcuts because you use a couple pre-purchased items. And so far in my stainless steel bowl, I have a pound of ground beef. And then in my manual food processor, I have the blend that you put in to make the meatballs. So inside of here right now, you're going to see I have the onion and chives that I chopped up, an egg, and some breadcrumbs. So I already mixed this because this gets kind of loud on the video, so I don't want it to be annoying to you. But you guys, I love this processor. You can use it for so many things. So I'll come back and talk about it in a little bit as we're putting these meatballs together. So right now I'm just going to take out the blade, which is the boat propeller. And if any of you that are live have the manual food processor too, because I see some people have popped on with me, please pop on and tell people in the comments what you use to chop or mix with. But that's my mixture, and it needs to go in with the ground beef to make these meatballs. And you guys, these meatballs cook in the deep covered baker in the microwave, okay? So great recipe for summer. And you know, I don't think there's any better way to make meatballs than to get your hands in the mix and actually mix them up really well. But you guys, I don't like that feeling. So these are my best friends. These are disposable gloves that you can buy at Walmart or Target or Hy-Vee or anywhere like that. And just put them on and go to work. So all I'm doing is mixing up the meatball mixture in my big bowl. And this bowl is one of the 3 bowls that come in the stainless steel bowl set that is also absolutely a super fun product to have in the line. But you just want to make sure that you have it all mixed together. And I forgot to tell you one ingredient. So in there is fresh chopped onion, an egg, breadcrumbs. I added a few chives because I had them. And then one of the magic ingredients is 2 tablespoons of our Asian seasoning mix. So if you want to do some stir frying or you want to make some things with a little bit of Asian zip, you can enjoy using that seasoning for it. And it actually goes in this recipe, but I use it a lot for stir frying and it makes a wonderful dressing too. So here's the baker. This is the bottom. They come in gray now, but mine is well loved, as you can see. So it's my cranberry baker, and I'm using the medium scoop, which you can use for cookies or meatballs or anything like that. And I'm literally just scooping out the meatballs into the bottom of my baker. So I'll do this as quickly as I can. And while I'm doing that, a couple other things back to that manual processor. Let me drop this a minute. I saw some of you put in the comments salsa. You guys, it comes with a lid. So you can make your salsa, snap the lid on, and put it in the refrigerator for later. So that's just another bonus that I wouldn't live without. But really, probably my favorite part of it is how versatile it is. You can chop everything from Oreo cookies to 2 onions. You could make your egg salad right in it. So you could start by chopping your onions and your celery and then put in your hard-boiled eggs and mayonnaise and mustard and whatever seasonings you use. So it just is a huge time saver. And I'm certainly not making perfect looking meatballs because, as you guys know that have been joining me on my Friday Night Lives, I am certainly not the perfect chef. But I'm just a fun-loving, pampered chef that loves to give you some ideas and inspiration in my crazy Friday night episodes. And, you know, I don't know if I can keep doing these Friday nights or not. You guys will have to tell me if you find them fun. Then I'll keep doing them and keep trying to give you some ideas. I know we continue to be home and continue to be cooking more. And so this just adds a few ideas for everybody. So let me just wash my hands quick and pop off the screen. And then on this, and I'll post the recipe just like I do every time after I've gone live, but on this it tells you to cover the bottom with your meatballs, put the lid onto the deep covered baker, which, by the way, this is my favorite pot that I use to make a whole chicken. I use it to do a whole roast, slow and low in the oven. But in this instance, I'm actually going to put it in the microwave for 6 minutes and let it do its magic on those meatballs. And while that is cooking in there, let me tell you a couple other steps that we've started for this recipe, and we'll go on to that as we do it. But I have a skillet here on the stove that I'm gonna start getting heated up. And it sounds like my tray is not in the right spot, so hang on a second. Making noise it shouldn't have been making for all of you. So let me just start over with that. Remember, I said to you, we are pampered chefs, not perfect chefs. And whoever washed the glass tray off last at my house didn't put it back right. So there we go. Now it will go and you won't be hearing that. But I have a skillet warming up, and in the skillet that is heating up, you just put a couple tablespoons of oil. And I don't know, you guys, this is just a shorty cut, but I buy canola oil in this container, and one of the reasons is because oil is kind of messy, and a lot of times you only need a tablespoon or two. But this particular Crisco brand, their lid has the measure markings right on it. So it's really cool to be able to just look and pour your 2 tablespoon mark, put it in your skillet. I have a little extra, dump it back in and go, and it drains back into the container of your oil. So I'm just gonna get this oil good and hot, because once that gets good and hot, we're gonna add some garlic. And then we're gonna add some angel hair pasta that I already cooked, and we're gonna add some of the teriyaki sauce. Because yes, that's one of the other shortcuts, is this recipe uses Pampered Chef's teriyaki sauce. And you guys, there's a ton of teriyaki sauces on the market, but I love this one. It's got a really nice texture to it. Not only is the flavor really good, but I think the texture is pretty important on a sauce that you want it to actually stick to the food item. So if you get one that is too thin, it just pools at the bottom of your plate or bowl and you don't really get the flavor. So we're going to actually use that on the recipe as well. So as this oil is heating up, I'm going to grab some fresh garlic. Remember, I'm a big advocate of fresh garlic only. Do not use jarred or the shaker. You do not get the same health benefits, nor do you get the same flavor. And if you have a great press, I'm just going to grab my knife back here. When you put your whole, look at this great big clove. When you put this whole clove right in the well of the garlic press, you can squeeze it right into the oil, and you can see my oil is shimmering now. I'm pretty sure you can see that on the screen. Just cut it off with a sharp knife, open it up. You can pull out the skin, put that on your garbage pile, put the next clove in, and go. So you don't have to peel the skin off, so it saves you a huge step. And this recipe calls for 2 generous garlic cloves. So we're going to let that now cook. Oh, it smells so good. That's the negative of going live with you guys. I wish I could put the odor into the camera so you guys would be able to smell it. So I just am going to cook this garlic until it starts to brown. And while those meatballs are cooking in the microwave. Now, it depends on what kind of ground beef you buy, or if you've bought ground turkey you could do for this recipe, or I made it one time with ground pork even, so you could do that. But if you buy a really lean cut, then you don't have to drain the meatballs when they come out in this first step. But if you've bought 80% ground beef, you probably are gonna wanna drain this when it comes out of the microwave before the next step. But I get our ground beef right from our locker, and it's super lean, so I won't need to do that step for you too. So that's just something I wanted to mention. And then when you are doing the stir fry, back to the Asian seasoning idea, you guys, it's a great way. I try to make our household once a week clean out the refrigerator and use up things that are in there. So if you pull open your vegetable drawer and you see, you need to do some stir fry or some roasting of vegetables or whatever, if you're looking for a new flavor, just add some garlic and this Asian seasoning. It really gives it a zip. And so by kind of making that part of my meal planning, that once a week I clean out the vegetable drawer and use up the odds and ends in the refrigerator, it saves me from wasting a lot of produce. So it's just a really good habit because you can always have a vegetarian meatless meal, or you can add some protein, you know, if you've got some chicken to cube up or shrimp or beef or whatever. But it's just kind of a policy that I have here. It saves on my budget too. Then I'm going to put in about 12 ounces of angel hair pasta right onto the browned garlic. And I'm going to turn it down a little bit. And I'm going to put in about half of this teriyaki sauce. So basically what you're doing is warming through and flavoring the base for your noodles and those stir-fried vegetables. So you really just want to, I probably should have grabbed a bigger skillet maybe, but you just really want to mix this well and get it nice and heated through for your next step on the recipe. You'll know kind of when it's there because it'll start to darken a little bit. Give you a quick look here. And thank goodness for these melt-proof spatulas, you guys. Okay, so I think you can kind of see. So we've got quite a nest there. So I'll just turn this way low now. So that basically is just going to stay on there and stay warm while the meatballs come out of the microwave here in just a few seconds. I got to grab my little grippers. Hang on. You know, I think I'm all ready to go live, and then I realize I got to walk across the kitchen and grab the little microwave grips. I love these for getting things out of the microwave like this because they hook right on the ends of the deep covered baker like that. So I can set the baker down. And now I have the burners kind of hot, so I don't know, I'll move it away so you can kind of see the meatballs. Now the next step, and there looks like just a nice amount of juice in there. I don't need to drain that. The next step is you take a whole bag of your favorite stir-fry vegetables and open it up, and you're going to put it on the top before you put the rest of the teriyaki sauce on here. And once in a while I get to Iowa City or Des Moines or Rochester, so I go to Trader Joe's because I love some specialty things from them, and this is one of the things I like. I like their package of stir-fry vegetables. So, but you can get anything, and quite often locally, you guys, Fairway has a really good deal on their frozen vegetable bags, and they include their stir-fry vegetables. But you can just kind of peek in here and see, this is kind of why I like it. There's a lot of good looking fresh vegetables. So just spread this all over the top of those meatballs. Take the last part of the teriyaki sauce, and this recipe says to use between 3/4 of a cup and a cup. Does not use the whole jar, so if you're buying that jar from us, you will be able to do more than one meal. Just spread the teriyaki over, make sure you get it all out. And then let me take a quick peek. Where did I set the recipe card down at? I don't know. You know, I'm really notorious for forgetting an ingredient. Last week, if you watched me, you saw that I forgot one of the drinks in the cocktail recipe. And here it is buried underneath of here. So let's just make sure tonight, before we put this back in the microwave, that we didn't forget anything. So spaghetti noodles or angel hair, I already cooked it, did all that. The beef, onion, breadcrumb, chives, egg, Asian seasoning, frozen vegetables, teriyaki sauce, garlic, and noodles. We're good to go. So now the lid goes back on the deep covered baker, and it returns to the microwave for 5 more minutes. And so when it has hit the 5-minute mark, that recipe will now be, you will put the noodles, you could dump the noodles right over the top if you're kind of a one-pot family and you want to just scoop out and serve. But it looks really nice if you take a portion of the noodles and put in the bottom of a bowl and like make a nest, and then put a scoop of the vegetables with the meatballs over the top for kind of a one pot meal, a one dish meal. So that's just a really fun way to be able to do that. And a fast, when it's summer, you guys, this is super fast because you could have had the meatballs made up ahead of time, sitting in your deep covered baker in the refrigerator. And then you popped home for work and you just threw this together. So you could put these meatballs together and even freeze them ahead of time if you wanted to. Just a super quick idea. And then I can't do a Friday Night Live without talking about a cocktail because it's happy hour somewhere. And so I'm just going to tell you it's a beautiful rainy night. And so when I think of a rainy night, my absolute favorite place to be is either sitting out on our porch gazebo or sitting in Minnesota at the place we go on vacation for the lake. And I love to sip on either a margarita or a Bloody Mary. Those are kind of my two go-to sippers. And so I rim my Bloody Mary glass and I use a lime. You can use whatever you want, but something to make it sticky. Some people use pickle juice, but I actually put pickle juice in my Bloody Mary, but I'm actually making a Bloody Maria because I prefer tequila over vodka. So if you haven't, you can order that right at a restaurant. Instead of saying Bloody Mary, you say Bloody Maria. And if they're known for their Bloody Marys, they will know exactly what a Bloody Maria is. If it's a little local place that you don't see other people drinking Bloody Marys, you might have to tell the server if they've never done it before. But rim your glass with lime or pickle juice if you're making a Bloody Mary like I am tonight instead of a margarita. And then, of course, you fill this with ice. But instead of walking across my refrigerator and making you, or walking across to my fridge to make you watch that again, I'll just do the next steps. So I mentioned pickle juice, but I didn't mention which mix I prefer. And this is my Bloody Mary mix of choice. I like Zing Zang. There are hundreds, probably thousands of Bloody Mary mix on the market. And then I prefer, if I have my choice of all the tequilas, I prefer Patron. So my bloody recipe is 1.5 ounces of tequila, followed up by 1/2 ounce of pickle juice. And yes, we have homemade dill pickles at this house, so I use the good stuff. Followed by Zing Zang Bloody Mary mix. Of course, I'm going to put in ice. I'm going to add probably a cheese stick, probably some dill pickles and olives. And you know, I love the places best that serve it with a beer back chaser. So it's just a fun way, it's a fun sipping drink, and it's easy to do. And now that I can like find these in the can, it's an individual serving. And because sometimes I will go weeks or months without having a Bloody Maria. And then that bottle is open in the fridge, the big bottle, and I don't like that. So it's a lot more fun to have an individual. And if you are not a drinker, this drink is really good without any alcohol in it. Adding the Zing Zang mix and that little zip of pickle juice really kind of ups the game. So of course I'll fill it with ice too, but again, I didn't want to walk all the way across the kitchen. But I'm excited. So many of you came on and you've been posting in the comments what's for dinner at your house tonight. That makes this super fun too. And just shout out if I can provide any other recipe, or if you need any other cooking inspiration. That's kind of what I enjoy doing. And if you're within driving distance and you want a bowl of this to go, pop on over. I'm home. Thanks, you guys. Happy Friday.